Up on facility usage from our last meeting, a discussion we started with Mr. Matteson, professional service contracts discussion, also a follow-up conversation from our last meeting, and then two proposals that the committee will consider to bring forward to the full board. First one is the engineering services proposal for the Trombley window replacement, and the engineering proposal for both high school chillers to be replaced. Both of those are from Airsman. I will make a motion to accept the agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, Tim will be here a little bit late. Trustee Klepp will be here a little bit late, so we will consider the agenda adopted. That would take us to number 2, public comments. Does anybody like to make a public comment? Anybody that I don't see behind the post? Yes.
Yes, my name is Ahmed Ismail. I live in Grosse Pointe Woods. I'm very, very disturbed at what's been going on as far as board meetings and some of the activities that have happened at them. And I would suggest that one of the things as a facilities committee that you should be looking at is how you're going to beef up your security at these board meetings. And not only from a fiscal standpoint, but also from a psychological standpoint, what you can do to get people to behave. And we had a situation back, I want to say maybe 15 years ago, not quite as severe, but we just ended up tightening things up a bit. And I think you guys need to look at that, whether it's adding cameras or there's a lot of different things you can do. Mr. Matteson probably has a better feel for that, or maybe Mr. Stanley, but I think it's something you should be putting on your agenda first and foremost. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other public commenters? A couple of people coming in. I'll wait to see if they had planned on making a comment. Does anybody plan on making a public comment? Now would be the time. Just raise your hand. We'll wait for you to get settled. Okay. All right, seeing none, we'll move forward into the information and discussion section. First up is facility usage follow-up discussion. Again, this is a follow-up from our last committee meeting. I will turn it over to Mr. Matteson.
Yes, thank you. Per the request of this committee, it was requested that I break these out by class, and also at the bond advisory committee, it was also requested that I break this out by location. So I combined these all into one spreadsheet for everyone to kind of digest the information. If you can look at district events by class, you can see the difference between year 2023 and 2024, and I'll give a brief explanation of what a Class 1 user is, Class 2, Class 3, etc. So a Class 1 user is our school groups. Anything that could be high school basketball practices, high school games, etc. Class 2 is a classification not affiliated by the district, but it is a youth-oriented group. Class 3 is nonprofit community groups, and Class 4 is just everything else, other groups. So you can see year over year, and then by class, a breakout of the usage of our facilities district-wide. You can see in 2024, Class 1 users were 10,416. Class 2 users were 1,277. Class 3 were 97, and Class 4 were 16. So the bulk of our users, obviously, is our internal groups. Any questions on that information?
The year here is the full calendar year from January to February?
Yep.
Or I'm sorry, January to December, excuse me?
That is correct.
Okay.
And if you're interested, the breakout by location, you can look at the usages of our pools and auditoriums. The only difference in these, the auditorium and gymnasiums are probably 95% Class 1 users. The pools are more 33% Class 2 and 66% Class 1. So, again, I'm not asking for any action tonight or anything like that. This is general information. But I know the trajectory is we keep on increasing events, things that my staff has to manage, and the pushback is always, hey, we need to reduce costs. So those two lines are fighting each other, and I just want to provide that information to this group.
And then there's one note at the bottom here for Sundays. Can you kind of give some?
So those are for the 2024, those are 2024 Sunday events. So district-wide, we have 405 events on Sundays only. And you know, one thing I've pitched to Dr. Tuttle as I was discussing this with her is, you know, maybe at one point we block out Sundays and let that be an off day for our facilities. That might, I put that detail in there if somebody wanted to discuss how many events that we had on Sundays. So that is for our calendar year 2024, 405 events on Sundays. And the nature is we're creeping into even like Labor Day weekends and things like this. So it's just getting more aggressive.
Okay. Well, I appreciate certainly your quick response to a question from our last meeting. Very clear, very easy to understand. I think this really lays a foundation for us to try to make decisions and at least investigate together here as a committee on where there may be some opportunities as we prep the budget for next year and are reviewing what opportunities we have. So I got to ask my questions on the fly here. Trustee Cotton, is there anything you wanted to address or follow up?
Nope.
Okay. Dr. Bishop or Dr. Tuttle? Okay, then, thank you very much. 3.2 is the professional service contracts discussion. Again, as a quick reminder, in our last meeting, we discussed some of the professional services relationships we have, and then at our last full board meeting, the discussion or the renewal of the Plante Moran contract was up for discussion. So I wanted to at least try to, again, lay a foundation here or build a framework for what other professional service contracts exist for the district and what those timeframes are with a vision of trying to identify when we should revisit perhaps sending some of those professional services out to bid from a competitive cost standpoint, or just understanding the terms of those relationships as we go forward. So I wanted to kind of introduce that, and then we'll let Mr. Matteson and Dr. Tuttle add a little bit of detail and maybe a couple questions afterward.
Well, if you're speaking specifically to the Plante Moran or to all of them, there's a lot of third-party contracts, professional services in the district. So they all obviously come to completion at different times, but this Plante Moran one was done in 2024, which is what preceded the discussion that happened at the last board meeting. I will say that this committee used to be facilities and finance, so a lot of those contracts were finance related because they're monetary, so I'm not sure where those contracts fit into these committees since we've reduced facilities and finance to just facilities, why I brought it up to the full board rather than to this group. And then subsequently, obviously, we talked about Airsman, which is a subcontract of the Plante Moran contracts, which Gary Kent is also here to speak to, as well as Ben Matteson. But we have other subcontracts, other third-party contracts, I should say, like Gallagher, obviously for insurance. We have RICO for safety and security. We have Taher for food service. I mean, there's numerous ones. So if you're asking for a date that they all expire, I mean, typically, I would recommend, and CFO Irby will be up at the table. She is in the audience today, but I've given her a little reprieve on these meetings just to kind of get her. But I would recommend that you always have to look at potentially bidding those out, or at least asking the contractors to sharpen their pencils, as I did with Plante Moran, and they were able to reduce their fee, which saved the district about $200,000 prior to me bringing it to the board. So I don't know what specifically, if you want dates for every third-party contract, if that's what you're looking for, if you think that's prudent for the facilities, or just the ones that relate to facilities like the Airsman and the Plant Moran.
Yeah, so I'm sensitive also to the talking or the discussions we've had about the reduction in scope from finance and facilities to just facilities. The professional contracts, at least when I made the agenda, were specifically to facilities relationships. And again, it wasn't something that we need to review in detail immediately. I think if we can at least create this timetable of when those contracts chronologically would be coming up for review, then we could make recommendations, maybe review some more of the details of the current contract, and then make a more educated recommendation at the board level, at least for the facilities professional services.
I think, and Mr. Matteson, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that the ones that would pertain to facilities then would be Plant Moran, the Airsman, which is a subcontract of Plant Moran, perhaps Turner, if we continue with their services. Can you think of any other ones that would be facilities specific?
Not past those.
So then I will try to, as I said, Plant Moran's all expired, and by virtue of that, so too is Airsman, so, and Turner, so we're probably at all of them right now that we could look to. And if the bond were to pass, you're going to want to look at what construction company, so that would be presumably something you'd bring to facilities, but that would be once the bond has passed. So I think they're all up for discussion, and that's why we're bringing the two Airsmen tonight.
Okay, certainly makes sense. Welcome, Mr. Klepp. That's okay. Do you, we're on 3.2. Any discussion that you had or questions that were related to professional service contracts? Again, it was more of it was as much procedural and logistics as it was specifics of any particular contract, just how we are going to try to plan those reviews and make recommendations to the full board and hopefully be more efficient.
Okay, no general questions.
Okay, Trustee Cotton, anything additional?
No.
Okay, Dr. Bishop, then, something good? Okay, great, then let's get into our first potential proposal for the Trombley Windows Engineering.
Yeah, so one of the projects, I guess a little backstory on Airsman Architects. So they were hired into the district, I want to say 2019, for the sinking fund projects. At that time, they were working on an hourly basis. As projects would come up, they would kind of react and be assigned to those projects, propose a fee, and they'd be awarded. When we got hired in 2021, we said, let's look at a better way to do this. So we negotiated a contract with Airsman on behalf of the district at a 6.25% fee, which is pretty comparable to the rest of the market. Typically, you'll see for interior renovations or renovation projects like a 6 to 7.5% fee. And how their contract worked would be at the beginning of each year, we'd look at the projects for the district for that year. We'd combine them into one, overall project. They would give us a fee based on that at 6.25%. We'd bring it to the board for recommendation, and we would amend their contract on a yearly basis. So since then, obviously, a lot's transpired. So for this year's projects, we have the Trombley window replacement and the Grosse Pointe North and Grosse Pointe South chiller projects that we're doing. So for the first one, for the Trombley window replacement, we actually negotiated their fee below that 6.25%. Let's see here, came in at, I'm sorry, for the Trombley it is at 6.25%, which is $70,935, plus reimbursables, which comes in at $2,837. The overall project schedule for this project is going to be, they've actually already started looking at the design of it, just due to market timing and getting this bid out at a good appropriate window. Essentially we're looking at over the next 12 months from start to completion for that project. This will be paid for out of the bond fund proceeds, with the remaining, there's about $2.2 million, Dr. Tuttle, correct me if I'm wrong, remaining from the last bond. After completing all the projects, there's about $2.2 million remaining. So this project will be funded out of there. They're estimating it at roughly, let's see here, it was roughly around 1.5 million.
I think it was about 1.3.
Yep, 1.135 5 roughly for the project. That doesn't include any demolition or removing the existing windows. Mr. Matteson and the district are going to handle that internally without putting it in the design documents and bidding it out for this project that Arizman's designing. So that would be on top of it. We think the overall, with abatement environmental, it's going to be roughly around 1.5 million all in costs. Arizman's just designing to the 1.2 million dollar number, which is a $73,772 recommendation amount for their contract. Reimbursable expenses are things such as mileage, printing, permitting, etc. And they will be invoicing based on progression, so schematic design, design development, and so forth, and it's a percentage based on that overall estimated fee. Done anything I missed on?
No.
The one point that you mentioned that we're going to handle the removal in-house.
For the window treatments.
Okay, the window treatments. Is the, in the first line item, once we get to the cost breakout, is exterior improvements and removals. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, for the exact actual windows, they'll be removing and replacing those, but for window treatments, environmental abatement, we're handling that internally.
Okay. And now all of that happens obviously before they're even on site. Okay.
Correct.
On their basic fee, like the activities like schematic design, like that was a question that came to mind, is with an existing building, with existing documents, what is the benefit or what's the need to have new schematics developed versus just using what exists?
Yeah, great question. So for each project we do schematic design. For this one, I mean, it's essentially just them marking, indicating which windows are going to be replaced, sitting down with the district and Plante Moran to make sure that they have the right scope in place before they continue with their design and get deeper into the documents. So they'll come out and do rough, measurements on the windows, indicate which the windows, which in this case is all of them, are going to be replaced, and then confirm the scope with us before they go into design development, which is then figuring out, what type of glass.
Could you just, that second phase of design development, can you, in 30 seconds or less?
Yeah, so basically then they're getting into, do we want to put in like kind replacement? What type of DH glass do you want to do? Casings for it, any brickwork or any masonry that's involved with the replacement. Then they'll get into construction documents, which are actually speccing out the...
Exactly what needs to happen.
Yes.
It sounds like almost on a window by window basis.
Correct, yeah, and you'll get a,
Okay.
huge set of documents.
Okay, good, thanks.
I asked my question kind of as we were going on the fly there. Trustee Cotton, do you have anything?
So what we're looking at is this contract to do, the way I look at it from the board is that we said we were going to do an RFP on the Trombley windows, and is this, we're saying roughly we're okay with the 70,000 for roughly a project that's 1.4, 1.5 million.
That's correct.
So they're going to do the hard bid from this engagement, and then we would then expect 1.5 million or less to then, at the board, say, yes, go ahead with the project.
Correct. We'll bring you all the bids and recommend a bid, and then they would move forward with the project.
Is there any fear that this will come back and we're looking at 1.6, 1.7, 1.8? Or is this, do you guys feel, Plante Moran, these are pretty solid numbers?
We feel they're pretty solid numbers, just based off similar projects we've done. Obviously, these windows are a lot more intricate than your standard classroom rectangular window, but we did reach out to several different contractors that have done similar work and got some just high-level rough order of magnitude costs from them.
And I would presume a contingency is embedded in the cost?
Correct.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think it was where is it? 113,000.
So I would think that would cover any unexpected.
Yes.
So this contract will then come to the board at the next meeting?
The
Correct.
contract, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, if we decide to move forward with the
Right.
proposal here, then we add it to the action agenda items of the full board.
Okay.
It sounded like the plan then would be after the bidding process, the specific construction contracts would also come
Correct,
with,
yes.
as
Yep.
sub to this agreement.
Absolutely. And this would be a first read, unless for some reason
Mhm.
you wanted to push it forward, which I would go through the process of first read and the second read for the next board meeting, so.
Okay.
I think the bids are going out May 8th, Mr. Matteson, you know, beginning of May, we're putting out the RFP, I mean.
Yeah, we're putting the advertisement out April 23rd. So it'll be in May.
That we'll get the bids.
Do we have to approve this before? I mean, they're going to assist in the bid?
Correct.
Yes, Airsman.
Yeah, we would use their documents to actually formulate the RFP, then we put it out May and June, we'd be back to the board. Once we receive the bids to get approval to move forward with the project. Material expediting between June and September. Abatement, which is already completed. Any remaining stuff will be completed July through August. Masonry repairs in August and October. Window installations in September through December. Punch list and closeout January through February, and then completion in March 2026.
Okay. I just think that if anybody at the board level has an issue with the actual project, then they should state that before this is approved.
Yeah, and we just said that we plan to get the bid out before the second meeting of the month, right? So we may have to.
The RFP or the bid?
The RFP,
The
the
RFP
advertisement,
is,
the RFP.
yeah, the RFP, which is a request for proposal, will go out late
And that,
April.
we authorized that previously at the full board,
Correct,
right? So,
yes.
okay. All right, then, yeah, we're fine to go through the same two-read process, I think. And then the sub-bid would come in through the two May meetings, and
Correct.
we'll be okay to
Yep.
get that.
Yep.
Okay, I think that seems, I don't see any mix-ups there, but if we missed something, then we could expedite by a meeting without much pushback, I don't think. All right.
The nice thing about Trombley, obviously, I've said before, is that they don't have to work within that summer schedule,
Yep.
so there's a little bit more flexibility in timing and getting this project done. The school's still in session.
Okay. So outside of the logistics and the meetings and the procedurals, I don't have any additional questions. Nope. Dr. Then all squared away. Okay, then I will make a motion that we accept the Arizona proposal here and recommend the approval to the full board.
Second that?
Okay, and then as a full vote, Trustee Klepp?
Aye.
Appreciate that. That passes 3-0, and we will move to the final discussion item 3.4, the high school chillers. Engineering proposal, same structure, but slightly different contract, it seems like.
Correct. Yep, so for this one, they did come in actually lower than the 6.25%. So for the North Chiller project, Arizona's recommending a 3.9% fee, and for South, it's a 5% fee, which is a total roughly a savings of $53,000 for the district based on what their initial contract in 2021 was in place. Overall engagement for this project is $134,438, which is inclusive of a $127,250 project fee and a $7,188 fee for reimbursable expenses. Again, if they don't use all those, we would return those to the district at the end of the project. And again, once the board votes on this, we'll work with legal counsel to finalize their contract and then issue that on behalf of the district. It would still be held with the district outside of Plante Moran. But this project is going to be a 2-year project. We're trying to schedule this. We have parking lot renovations going on next summer at Grosse Pointe South. Part of the area that's going to be renovated would coexist with the chiller project. The existing chillers for Grosse Pointe South are located under the parking lot where some of the staff park right now. So we just want to time that right so that we're not replacing the parking lot and having to do it twice. Overall, contract structured the exact same as the last one, and we anticipate this project being wrapped up in the fall of 2026.
Okay. From either a logistics, from a technical standpoint, are there any major differences between the two high school projects?
Yeah, Grosse Pointe South's a lot more difficult to access with it being in the basement. We will have to remove some of that. Well, parking lot above it, and then there's some joists that run where the chiller needs to come out and the new one needs to go in, so we'll have to hire a rigging company to get in there, and it's a lot more technical. So as you can see, their fees 1.1% higher for south than it is at north. North is a lot easier to access and requires less design work.
So overall, both chillers, this is about a little bit over $3 million, and this is all from the sinking fund?
Correct.
And this project, does it have the same cost breakout at this moment or no?
At this point, it does not. We're still evaluating. We have rough order of magnitude costs for the chillers. It's just, we're still trying to work through the design. And once we have those, we can, if you want us to give a presentation to the board outlining those, we can.
So right now, we're ballparking 1.5 million for north and 1.4 million for south.
Correct.
I see the percentage fee for Arizmen is different because of the complexity that you referenced. What else? Why else would the cost be more expensive at the simpler job site?
Ben, correct me if I'm wrong, it's, the sizing of the chiller at north is bigger than the one at south. It'll be the same, what we're trying to do is have the same system installed at both. It's just that there's a lot bigger unit going into north and south at this point.
Because of a footprint?
Correct.
Okay. Those are the only things that stood out to me. Trustee Klepp, anything?
Same. No,
Trustee
nothing.
Cotton, anything else?
So are this 3 million, this is from, we planned for this in the current sinking fund, correct?
It would be the new sinking fund.
Okay,
It was
and
one of the
that's in
projects.
that 3-year list that we had? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Dr. Tuttle, Dr. Bishop, anything else?
Did a nice job. Thank you.
Okay. I think I will also make a motion to accept the recommendation here, Plante, Moran, and Derringer for the 2 chiller projects, 2-year projects, engineering cost, and we'll keep an eye on trying to keep it in that ballpark right now. When can we expect to see a cost breakout in this time?
For the chiller project, I would say sometime this summer we'll probably have a more schematic design in place and a better budget that we could bring to the board.
Great. Okay, then, yeah, I would make a motion that we accept the proposal and take it to the full board as presented here.
Second?
Trustee Cotton?
Yes.
Great, that's 3-0. Those are our action items for the evening. And then I will just go from my left to my right here and finish with Trustee Cotton. If there are any other additional comments or requests?
None.
Okay. Ben?
No
anything
comment.
additional? Nothing additional for me?
Nothing additional from me?
Nope.
Okay, I move that we adjourn the meeting. Yeah, I think so. Second, yes. 3-0, Trustee Cotton?
Yes.
All right, that's 5:59.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Ben.
Doing all right.